Hello, welcome to Leeds Student TV. I'm Will, you might not have seen before, and this is James Woodburn-Hall, who is the half for Jamaica, playing at the Rugby League World Cup, and he also plays for Halifax. Also, he's a former Leeds University student, so quite good to get him on the TV. I'm just going to start with James, Rugby League. You're from the south.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? Did you play back at home or?
Yeah, it's a strange one. My school, so all the local schools all played rugby union, but for some reason my school always did rugby league. Okay. And so basically, PE year 7, picked up the rugby ball for the first time because I always played football and just loved it and just went from strength there and yeah, just grew into the sport from there.
Nice. Okay, so then obviously you came to Leeds. Were you already part of the, I've done a bit of research, you were part of the London Broncos set up then. Was that before you came to Leeds or
yeah, so
was
actually,
that after?
Yeah, so I was part of London Broncos, so I started playing for them when I was 15, went through like their scholarship scheme, went through the academy, made my debut there at 18, and then I was due to go to Leeds in 2013, 2012, and then deferred a year, and then actually came up in 2014 instead. Well, I tried to defer another year, but they wouldn't let me, unfortunately. So, yeah, actually quit rugby then, and then moved up here, moved my life up here, and started studying here.
And started again. Okay, so obviously now you're here playing in the Rugby League World Cup for Jamaica. How did your heritage? What part of your family did Jamaica?
Yeah, so my granddad and his wife, my grandma, were actually part of the Windrush that came over. So they settled in a place called Brentford in London. Obviously had my mum and some of her children, and then yeah, so that's my link there. So the heritage is through my granddad.
Very nice. So that's obviously rugby league in Jamaica. Not a natural connection between the two. How did you find out that there was an opportunity to play for them? I saw you play. Did you play in the qualifiers in 2018?
Yeah, over in America. Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one. They've been going at me for trying to get me to play for a few years, and I was always torn because I could play for Scotland as well. So I was always torn about who I was going to play for, and then the head coach Jermaine actually ended up coaching me for a little period whilst I was at uni, but I was kind of just trying to make a bit of money playing rugby, going back to London. And he was a coach down there. He's like, look, you need to get a part of the set-up. It's really growing, etc. And just basically convinced me from there. And yeah, the qualifiers were in 2018, I think they were, and yeah, that was my first experience with it, and I just instantly fit into the group. I mean, rugby league's a small sort of community, so everyone knows everyone. You're always playing against the people you're playing with now, and yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's just brilliant.
Okay,
yeah, a group.
Nice. So that experience. So obviously, you beat America 16-10, I think it was, in Jacksonville to make it qualify for the World Cup. That must have been. I think it was quite a big shock at the time.
Yeah.
Or I think from the outside view, this is America qualified for the last World Cup for context. How was that feeling when obviously it was quite a long way before that World Cup?
I was elated, honestly. Like I still say to this day, it's one of the best days of my life, and not so much just because for me coming into that group I was new and it was amazing with the Chiefs, but there was boys that had been trying for like back in the early 2000s when the team first formed, and they'd come so close so many times. And there's a lad called Ross Peltier that plays with us now. He's been playing for like 11 plus years. Joe Brown, who's actually waited just to play in this World Cup, is going to retire after it, bless him, like because it's meant to be last year. He's going to retire last year and he's had to go again another year. It's them boys that it means the most to, because they've been there from the start, and like I'm just happy to be a part of something and contribute and help progress the team.
Okay, nice. And then obviously in your side you've got Ashton Golding and Michael Lawrence, who both played in the Super League for Huddersfield, I think. And having those boys there who are full-time professionals in the sport, does that help drive? And I'm guessing they set standards for everyone else in the team.
I mean, they're both in the leadership group, and like you say, they kind of set the standards. They set the markers where we need to be at, and it's brilliant for lads who like come over, who play on the island, and like. For context, the competition out there isn't it's not a professional sport, it's an amateur sport out there, and it's a growing game out there. But for them to come be a part of a group where they've got people like Michael Lawrence, who's played in the Super League for 10 plus years, Ash Golding, who's got a wealth of experience as well, who's played at Leeds Rhinos, it's amazing for them, and like you say, they drive the standards and really help improve the team.
I was going to say, again, like you've got 6 boys, I think, in the squad who play for Dehaney Park in Jamaica, and having those guys come over, have you been over there to like train with them, or how have they integrated into the group?
So I've never been over there from a rugby league perspective. I went over there back in 2015. I played a bit of sevens, and I met a couple of the boys and knew a few of the boys for that. But the qualifiers for the next World Cup are actually out there in Jamaica next year, so we're all hoping to go out there as a group and kind of experience it and get involved with them, give back to the communities out there.
Nice, that'll be really cool. And then obviously from your personal perspective, Jamaica have already played 2 games. They played against Ireland and New Zealand, who are pretty big nations, and you've been obviously as a half going against Luke Keary and Dylan Brown, probably was the opposite number in both those 2 games, who are, for context, some of the biggest players playing in the NRL in Australia. How's that been as a personal goal, going up against those players? How's that been?
Yeah, that was amazing. I actually wanted, so like when I was a kid, Sean Johnson was my favourite player for New Zealand, and I was a bit gutted when he didn't make the squad because I really wanted to. Like, I managed to get to swap shirts after the game. I was dying to get his shirt, but in terms of just like testing myself against them, it's brilliant because Luke Keary's a grand final winner. He's done it all. Like you say, Dylan Brown, Joey Manu, people like that from New Zealand are playing at the highest level week in, week out. So just to kind of grace the field with them, it's an amazing experience. And I mean, I thought we held our own. We managed to score a try in the end, and you know, it's nice to see where Jamaica's come from to now, and where we can take it as well. I mean, in a few years, I'm not saying we're going to be competing like even closer, but I mean, if we qualify again, who knows what can happen.
Yeah, I see Ben Jones-Bishop scored that try at the end against New Zealand, and the scenes at the end, I think, have gone a little bit viral. Like, they've been pretty big. Has that been? Do you know how it's been received back in Jamaica, or have you not really been?
I'm not too sure how it's been received back in Jamaica. I mean, I can only imagine it's positive. We've come into the World Cup as massive underdogs, and to score a try against one of the world number ones currently. I mean, what can we say? We saw what also happened with Scotland and Australia, and it could have gone that way. So I think we were just happy to kind of, like I say, just compete. And if you've watched the game, we never stop trying, we never stop competing, we never stop working hard for each other, and that's the kind of how we want to be remembered as well, as a team that came and gave it their all.
Yeah, I think you can definitely see that. And then obviously in a couple of days' time you're playing Lebanon, who again, another couple of the NRL halves in Adam Dewey and Mitchell Moses. That'll be another pretty cool experience. I'm guessing you've been watched some of their games.
Yeah, we did train. We watched them train this morning. They're pretty, not train this morning, watched them play the game against Ireland, and I thought Ireland were unlucky. They had a lot of opportunities, but their own mistakes kind of let them down. And it'll be interesting to see how we go. I think this is the one I've been most excited for as well, because I'm hoping we're going to compete and like really give them a run for their money, maybe even steal a win. But like you say, with that class, Dewey, who's played West Tigers, Mitchell Moses, who played in the grand final this year, didn't he? So it should be a great experience.
Yeah, and then also slightly going back now to your Uni of Leeds days. Yeah, obviously as Leeds Student TV. Did you get involved into rugby league at the uni straight away, or did you try out union first, or did you just go straight to league?
I've never really played union. I spoke to the coach at the time was Keith Sandu, and I sort of had some contacts, and a few guys, a guy called Jacob Morgan and Jack Bladford were at uni already, and I'd had contact with them previously. They were like, "Are you coming up?" Because they'd heard I'm thinking about going to uni. And when I did come up, I basically, like, I think it was in the first couple of days, they did like a random training session on Hyde Park, a little touch and pass, and I was involved with that, and I had a few nights out with the boys, and that's the best way to get involved, isn't it? So yeah, I was straight into the team. Yeah. Nice.
And then obviously, I think did Ben Stevens play with you then, or was he even a bit later after that? Because he's the guy.
Steve-O, yeah. I think I just missed Steve-O. I ended up playing against him because I went back and did a Masters at Leeds Beckett, but we won't say anything about that. But I definitely played against it. I can't remember if, because in my third year I kind of took a backward step, trying to focus on my study, and I was playing more and more at Halifax as well, and they were getting a bit like, we don't really want you playing midweek. But I don't think I ever got to play with Steve-O, unfortunately.
The context, Steve-O is still here, he's doing a PhD, so he can't let university go at all. I mean, this might I don't know if he'll stay in or not, but like nights out in Leeds, obviously you've been to Terrace and Fruity and stuff like that. Do you have like a favourite night out that you used to do? It was Mischief.
Yeah, I did a few Mischief Wednesdays. I did a few Sticky Feets as well. I used to, when I first started, Halo, which is Loud Church, was Quids In, and I used to love that on a Monday night. So we'd train up at Wheatwood and kind of like literally in, shower, quick snack, and then straight to Halo, Quids In. I like that. And then Control was also open back then as well, but that's completely gone off the record. There were a few good nights that I enjoyed them.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty cool. Any stories about, have you been able to like mix with other teams during the World Cup recently, or has it been pretty separate?
So in terms of like hotels and that, they've been really good at keeping everyone separate, because it's a bit of a burden in the hotel as well, because they're having to prepare all the food and etc. But after the whole game, we actually had a few drinks with the New Zealand boys, a really good group of lads. was a bit of a weird one actually. I was in a club and just looked over and I was like, "Did I play against you?" Do you know what I mean? He was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" And they were like really welcoming, and it was just a great experience, and it kind of it just showed what the World Cup's about, like teams getting together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see, I think people have seen on campus, the Tongan lads have been using the gym. I think a few of our boys
big
currently,
boys, aren't they?
they're big lads. And some of the uni rugby league boys saw Brandon Smith and them in the Sky Rack, so they're definitely in and around. I think that's one of the differences between rugby league and rugby union. I think the rugby league guys are very down to earth. And obviously here they're probably not as recognisable for normal human beings, so it's pretty easy to just spot them a days out and just be themselves, which is quite a nice thing to do. Have you got any like predictions for the later on in the tournament, or?
I think Australia are a team to beat at the moment. After watching them against Scotland, especially like the weather that day as well was dreadful, and their skill was like unreal. I think New Zealand will come good. I think they've had a bit of a slow start personally, but in terms of the calibre of player in that Australian squad is ridiculous. So I think they're definitely a team to beat. And England look very good as well. I mean, they were a bit slow against France in the first game, but I think, it'll be interesting to see how they go when they have their first test against Tonga or Australia or something like that. So I think Australia are a team to beat.
Okay, and then finally, the 2025 World Cup's in France.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got the qualifiers. You said are going to be in Jamaica next year.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's the next aim. Obviously you're playing with Halifax as well.
Yeah.
Is that in the championship or?
Yeah, championship.
In the championships, that's obviously a very good standard. So how are you going to be? Guessing that's the aim, to keep playing for Halifax and then driving towards France in 2025.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've got 2 more years at Halifax, but we always said this tournament for us as Jamaica was about like kind of creating a legacy and trying to grow the game on the island, because especially like some of the players are like myself, it's like my granddad's the heritage, so like the line kind of stops at me. So we need more players coming through. We need to grow the game here in like the black communities in England, especially like in London, Huddersfield, Leeds, this sort of area, grow the game there. But also back on the island, because we need more players coming through in order to keep the squad going, otherwise the squad's going to die.
Okay. So what do you think is the best way to go about that? Have you had any ideas about?
Just this, like, I mean, hopefully there'll be people back on the island will be able to watch the games and be inspired by it. You know what I mean? Seeing that try, like you say, it's gone viral, and hopefully you inspire little kids to think, oh, I want to do that one day, and that's all we need to do. And then when we go over to the island, it's kind of imparting our knowledge as well. Like, because the coaches come over, they take so much. It's not just the players that take so much, it's the coaches that come over from the island as well, take so much from our coaches and learning and how the game's changing here, because some of the stuff that happens here might not get back to the island for a year or so because they're not up to date and not keeping up with it. So being able to go back there and kind of help coach and try and inspire kids is, that's the main thing.
Yeah, and then finally, any other pieces of advice? If you were talking to someone now who's from Jamaica or just a black sportsman coming through playing rugby league, who is about to go to university or is like 16, 17, what would be your piece of advice to them going into, if they want to keep playing the sport at a high level?
Just make sure you enjoy it. That's my big thing. I fell out of love with the sport, and that's why I stopped playing for a bit, and then I come to university, fell back in love with the sport, went over to Halifax, and it just changed my whole career because I started enjoying playing again. So that's for me. Obviously work hard and do all that, but if you don't enjoy it, it's not worth it. So just make sure you enjoy it.
I suppose that's one of the best bits about university, is actually the going out and meeting new mates. As you said, going out to like quids in and things like that. That's the best way of like meeting friends, bonding and doing stuff like that. Exactly. I think that's everything. I can't think of anything else, but thank you very much. Cheers.
Perfect. Cheers. Pleasure. Cheers.